What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today when I talk to you about Faraday Future, I want to go over some of the current data points, what's been really coming out from the company itself, and just some things that you need to keep in mind. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So this past week was a relatively bumpy one for the broader market, and Faraday did go down 8.45%, which is rather unfortunate because based on my last video, it was showing some signs of it actually moving higher. And that's with the whole ticker change, which I'm still not really used to, FFAI. But again, I think it's just part of their rebranding. They wanted to leave FFIE in the dust because that is kind of beyond damaged, in my opinion, coming from at least an investor standpoint. So they wanted to start fresh. But my last video, I did state that it's either make it or break it at this stage in the game, because ultimately they have reconfirmed that May, this is where they're going to really be starting with their sub brand. And if they somehow push it back, delay it, that's just going to kill the trust that they've been building for the last year for the most part, even though I've been kind of calling them out on many different things that they haven't really lived up to. But I think I'm just kind of the negative voice of reason for Faraday. But I'm not lying at all. I'm just here to tell you the truth, the honest truth, and some people just don't like that. But last couple pieces of news that have come out. So this one came out on March the 13th. So Faraday Future announces first lease of a FF and official entry in the New York market. So when it comes down to this, I get that they are leasing that one vehicle to, it looks like an investment bank, which they did state that I think it was in January or February, they did have a meeting with bankers, what they kind of mentioned. They said it in past tense, so meaning it already did happen. So clearly that resulted in one lease. But at the end of the day, reading through this, I don't really understand what the whole big entry into the New York market, that's not really that big of a deal. The bad thing is a lot of people jump up and down for joy with this news. I don't see this being good news that you need to go buy. This is just fluff. And if we kind of look at a lot of the recent news, they've been putting out news after news because they are trying to hype up investors to avoid a reverse stock split. That is kind of the moral of the story. That is single-handedly it. If you're thinking that they're putting out all this news because they care, unfortunately, you'll be negatively surprised in the end. But they do have a big update on the 16th, so that is their AI day, and so hopefully that does yield something at all. But even on the 11th, they did put out this news. So Faraday Future announces that it will enter the New York EV market. Again, just another piece of fluff that I don't see being that good whatsoever. They did go over on March the 9th the results of their shareholder meeting. So both the raising of the authorized share count was approved, and then of course the ticker change and stuff like that. So I think when it comes down to Faraday, so like I said, they wanted to do the whole ticker change to start fresh because FFIE is just damaged. FFAI is tech play. That's what they're trying to portray now. Faraday is a tech company. So even more importance for the upcoming meeting, or the, I guess, AI day that they're doing on the 16th. If they actually are able to surprise the media and so forth that are in attendance, then yeah, definitely Faraday could have a good chance of moving higher. But if they flop, which usually 9 times out of 10, all of their big events, they regrettably do flop. And again, I'm not here to get you to buy or sell. I'm just saying it how it is. So my opinion is that they flop, overhype a lot of their kind of events, and they ultimately don't really result in all that much. But when it comes down to raising of the authorized share count, that is a very clear indication that there is a lot of dilution happening. How much, you might ask, is a very good question, because if we pop over to their last earnings, which again, on a side note, they're technically late on their annual earnings. That was supposed to be due 2 weeks ago. So most likely you'll be receiving a notice from the NASDAQ saying that it's delayed, and then no different than this time last year, the company will have to put out obviously an explanation on when they expect it to be submitted by. So that's going to be definitely something to really watch for because of the dilution point. So it goes over here that as of September the 30th, 2024, that's the last known dates that we do have for financials. They had, as far as this, for an authorized share count, so 99 million. And then they did have at the time 30.7 million in the outstanding share count. And for those of you that are saying, no, there's no dilution happening, just between June and September, there was a mass amount of dilution that occurred, because even if you look right here, so beginning balance as of June 30th, 2024, 11 million. I've already brought this up when I went over this at the time, but I think clearly some people just don't remember it. But this is the conversion notes, and that is from obviously the preferred convertible notes and whatever, and that works out to be 19.1 million. So just between June 30th and September 30th, there was 19 million shares that was done through dilution from the notes, bringing the grand total to that 30.7. So when it comes to them needing to raise the authorized share count, I don't think a lot of people are putting two and two together. That means that they are very close to this 99. So again, you might say, no, there's no dilution, you're just fudding. I don't know about that. And if potentially this is close to that 99, causing them to have to raise it, that is really going to cause the stock price to go down, prompt a reverse stock split, as what I've kind of mentioned. So I did originally forecast for it to be in Q1, but with all this fluff, I think ultimately it's kind of kicking the can down. Their earnings most likely will be that negative catalyst to prompt it below $1. I don't see anything positive because they're going to be submitting up until the end of December. At that time, there wasn't really anything whatsoever that is going to be good. If anything, people are just going to be looking at how much they are burning through to see if there's any improvement, and then they are going to be looking at this, how much dilution. But yeah, ultimately that's kind of the recent updates. So you had some approvals from the shareholder meeting and a lot of fluff news, nothing I see as credible to go out and buy Faraday. So lately it's just been at the mercy of the broader market, unfortunately. But looking over here, 24.76% of the free float is being shorted, works to be 16.58 million shares. Again, this is going based on this information right here that was last disclosed. Once they do submit the new updated outstanding share count, then this number will dramatically change. And if there has been a lot of dilution, then essentially that will be a lot lower. So let me know your thoughts on that. The new options have been fully kicked in. So you have 36,000 in calls, 73,000 in puts. That was done on Friday. 54% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. And ultimately, they're forecasting for it to be sub $1.50. That's even the bulls, kind of, for the most part. Bears are anticipating, like I said, best case scenario, $1.50. So there's a lot more just downside based on all of that. And there was two transactions that did occur on the 14th. Both were buys, one for 197,000, the other one for 235. So most likely that's actually what caused Faraday to close in the green, because a lot of this barcoding is essentially AI, just algorithmic trading. This right here was a buy, most likely, and probably first thing as well. So you are having some institutions really buy into the hype. And like I mentioned, I think the 16th is going to be a big day for Faraday, and hopefully they can hit a home run and not flop on their big day, and then it can really move on higher. But like I said, I think even though it's just would be a short-term bump up, that its downside is going to be coming from their earnings, and that should be in theory submitted 2 weeks ago. But when they do, I don't know. They haven't really alluded to when they're going to be submitting their earnings on any news, on any social media posts or anything. So we're just kind of stuck in limbo. So let me know your general thoughts on Faraday. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? Do you think that a lot of the points I've brought up are valid, or do you think that I am 100% incorrect with Faraday? What's your kind of general thoughts on all that? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. If you are looking for a lot of kick-ass buy signals, pop over to my Patreon and get buy signals on stocks options and crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point and bangers. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.